We know who he was talking about. So when all these people, especially in the black community, when you dare use the grab him by the
If he had been black and said it in a rap song,
we'd be
everybody,
like,
oh yeah, yeah, sing that song,
Oh
girl.
God.
Trump, get it.
Oh
Yeah,
wait, he's a Republican? Oh
oh,
no, we disagree. We disagree.
Yeah.
I was only ever offended by Trump once, and this was whenever he said something about like Mexicans being like animals or like something like that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it's so offensive. Like, why would he say that? And then my stepdad was like, did you read like everything that he said? So I went back and he was talking about like the MS-13 gangs that were in Mexico
Oh
and stuff.
God.
So I like kind of learned a lot about fake news and how
When Donald Trump said all the Mexicans were rapists, he didn't mean all the rapists. I mean, he didn't mean all the Mexicans. He actually meant the very specific gangs. Yep. Don't listen to fake news, guys. Donald Trump is not racist. He has a colorful vocabulary.
people are like sensitive to his like rhetoric and what he says.
what do you think? I feel like society today, especially millennials, we're addicted to feeling sensitive and offended. Like literally, people's nipples get hard when they're freaking offended by something.
I think I know why that is. It's because if I'm offended, if I'm a victim, I get more attention. It's like there's a hierarchy of victimhood. Well, I'm black.
Yes,
but
that one trans person who is struggling with their identity in front of a world that hates them is just worrying about, they want to be the center of attention. That's all they want. If you're struggling with something and you bring it to light, you just want to, you want to create a media story. That's all it is. You're just crying about nothing.
you're black, and a woman. So that means you get more power. It's like in the left, it's like the more victimized you are, the more you should be heard, the more power you should be given. And to me, I think that's pretty sad.
Hey, if you start down here and someone else starts up here, then you should be elevated because you are started off in life with some type of disadvantage. Yeah, we don't hold the president to the same standard as rappers. Who would have thought? Yeah, I'll start a podcast someday. They're pretty fun, but we're just struggling through this moment right now in history.
Systemic racism is a problem in America. Rachel.
Oh, good
Strongly
topic.
disagree.
Casey?
Somewhat disagree.
Noah?
I said somewhat agree.
Tammy?
Somewhat agree.
Alicia?
I said strongly disagree.
Malik?
Somewhat agree.
Systemic implies that it's built into the DNA of a country, and I just don't think that was why this country was founded.
No
wasn't
way.
founded to be a racist country.
No,
Systemic
nope.
is really that there's
What a good
laws
point.
in place that prevent people of color from excelling. And while
Systemic racism is only real if your actual laws say black people bad in it. If you erase the black people bad part and just put a bunch of policies in place like the war on drugs that attacks everybody that does drugs, all the drug dealers in the inner cities, then it's not racist anymore. You know that?
in the past, there definitely have been laws that were systemically racist. There aren't any anymore.
There's so many examples, people of color that excel in America. For example, like Barack Obama, he's like a black president.
This one black guy once was successful, so that means systemic racism can't be real.
Have like AOC, who was a bartender. She's a person of color, and she literally just like came up
Had
and
to slip in the
became,
bartender
like,
part.
House of Representative.
Can I ask everybody this real quick? Joe Biden's 94 crime bill that specifically targeted people of color, you wouldn't consider that to be systematic, something that was put into place that is going to target the breakdown of the black family? Sorry to be like military, but there's some skid marks. America has some like total skid marks.
Yeah,
So she talks about being, nipples being hard, skid marks. Do I think Biden can win PA? Yes, he can win PA, but PA is going to be a battleground because the state Republicans are going to help Trump throw away as many ballots as they can.
It's been like, because like I'm studying history and I'm taking Old South class, so we're just talking about slavery. Like, so I'm not denying that there hasn't been systemic slavery before, but in 2020 today, like there's not systemic.
The Civil
racism.
Rights Act
Like, just
made
in the 90s,
racism
94,
illegal.
That was the year I was born. Not too long ago, and the residue, the effects that it had within 2 generations, is, it looks pretty structured to me. You know what I mean?
I really like what you had to say with the 1994 crime bill, because that's exactly where I was going with it. That's why I somewhat agree. And the other policy that I think is also really important would be school choice. In the schools where I was growing up,
talking about school choice. I hate that policy.
History and the way they teach the spirit, that they were teaching.
Spirit. Bro, I felt like in the classroom.
you are determined that you will fail. You cannot succeed. You will never make it. And to me personally, whenever somebody told me I can't do something, I said, okay, watch. And then I went to medical school. But for a lot of other people, they don't have what I have, you know? So I think it is systematic because it's mostly Black people in these areas being taught these things that
So it's not systemic with, 28% of Black people starting off in poverty versus 8% of white people, or, the schools being underfunded, or lead being in the water supply of Black areas. It's systemic because liberals keep on telling Black people they should be behind, and since they tell Black people they are victims, then they have a victim mentality. If Black people simply didn't have a victim mentality, they would work harder, and if Black people would all work harder and come together and realize they should leave the Democratic Party and, abandon their masters, then they would, systemic racism would be solved. It's a social construct, apparently. He probably doesn't believe in social constructs, though.
them from even thinking that it's possible for them to achieve. So that's why I say systematic racism is
the sleepy Black guy. He's a young Ben Carson.
problem, and it comes from the Democratic side.
I have to disagree. There's no law saying that you have to teach Black children that they can't make it in the world. The issue is really funding, and I think people get distracted and tend to blame it on systemic racism when it's not. It's really a poverty issue.
You don't think that's systematic?
White kids are in poor districts as well, and there are tons of districts around the nation that are a majority white and they're poor.
But Black people are typically, if we look at statistics, Black people are in that lower income, people of color are in that lower income bubble right there. I feel like that's systematic, you know what I mean? It's targeting a specific group.
But there are tons of white kids in that bubble too.
I didn't disagree.
There are poor white people. Everything is based on, she's a class reductionist, I guess. Everything, there are poor white people as well. Therefore, Black people do not have it worse. It's like a light switch. You are either poor or not poor. That's the two standards in America.
On that part, I definitely gave a shout out to, there are white kids in the trailer park.
I think a lot of it has to do with like the culture or the way that the Black, like normal, typical Black family is set up. The statistics say that Black people don't have like two family households.
Yeah,
and that has a lot to
75%.
do. Yeah, that has like a lot to do with like, the poverty rates, their like,
That's
where
systemic
they
racism.
end up in school.
That's right.
They
That's
go to
systemic.
jail more often. So I don't
That's
think
systemic.
it's systemic racism.
That is what that is.
Like more as that it's a fact of having to like educate.
We've done a lot to deal with race in this country. A lot of my friends on the left, they literally just see that it is a racist country. We're never not going to be, and we need like insane change to just blow up the system. I think that would be the most foolish thing. When you look at who's helping the Black community, I think that President Trump has done a ton for the Black community. More than under Barack Obama, that's for sure.
I believe COVID-19 is
Oh,
a
here we
serious
go.
and real disease.
I like this one.
Rachel.
Disagree.
I strongly agree.
Noah.
Oh, okay.
I somewhat agree.
Amy.
Agree.
Okay.
Alicia.
I said somewhat agree.
That's better than I thought it would be.
Some would agree.
Anything that can cause the death of somebody is serious. I can strongly agree with that statement, while at the same time being against a lot of the measures that have been taking place, especially over an extended period of time. It's affected my mental health. And I have a lot of people who are scared to kind of speak out. But of course, the disease itself, yes, it's real. Yes, it's serious.
It's very serious. I've known people who have family members who have passed away. But if I don't believe it's to the degree that the media made it out to be. I mean, they said really early on 2 million people will die, and we're at 200,000. Overall, it's most likely been inflated a lot.
And this is a really interesting question for me because I'm in medical school. I have access to information that like the general public doesn't.
He is literally young Ben Carson. This isn't a joke.
The thing I would say is context is not being given to the general public. I noticed one week there was like, oh my God, there's been a surge in this state. Well, I know a drive-through just opened. Was there really a surge in cases, or was there a surge in testing?
I think that we are being distracted by the real problem in America. And the real problem in America is that we're not healthy overall. We're one of the sickest countries who's a first world country. So I think the media has really blown it out of proportion. I don't think it's as serious as it's made out to be. It's being politicized to scare people.
And I don't know if you guys remember in the very beginning when they talked about this COVID, they said that the African American community was actually more prone to getting COVID or the Chinese virus. Gotta say it, guys, gotta say it, Chinese virus. And it makes sense. If we want to look at the Black community specifically when it comes to high blood pressure, heart disease.
She's going to blame it on behavior stuff. Like, she's going to say they eat too, Black people eat too bad and it's a cultural thing.
Diabetes, we got to take that in consideration. And unfortunately, we can't really compare ourselves to Sweden. We can't really compare ourselves to these other countries that one have a much smaller population and also live healthier lifestyles than we do.
I'm Jean-Nicolas.
I thought she was just going to all out blame Black people for not being healthy enough, but she pulled back from it.
I am open to liberal ideas. Rachel?
Agree.
And you, Casey?
Agree.
Noah?
I strongly agree.
Ami?
Strongly agree.
Alicia?
I said agree.
Emily?
Agree.
This is a Tim Pool type of thing. Like, oh, I'm so open to liberal ideas. In fact, I used to be a Democrat, but the Democratic Party got too crazy for me, so I had to turn away from them. That's basically, this is a Tim Pool question. He wouldn't say strongly agree. He would say this question is me.
So I said agree, but like right now, they're just like portraying so many radical views that it's like shutting me down from like listening to them all entirely. Like socialism, that's like the number one for me, because I know that socialism leads to communism and people cannot tell me otherwise. And like my family actually like left Nicaragua because of like the socialist like stuff and the communism that was happening. So, and I know a lot of Hispanic
The socialist stuff and the communism that was happening.
people, like that's probably why Joe Biden isn't getting like that much support. He is getting support, but not that much support.
I'm super conservative, but I'm also an urbanist, and I don't mind. I live in a city. I'm totally open to it, and even apply some. I mean, I'm almost vegan, so I had to say that because I'm almost vegan. But it's okay for conservatives to care about the environment and things like that. It's something that you would consider liberal. I especially liked listening to Andrew Yang. It's hard to hate that guy.
Yang Gang.
But nothing about Joe Biden interests me. My biggest voting issue of all is China, and I think that it is the Chinese Communist Party is the biggest
voting
threat to the
issue is
global
China,
order, but especially the American way.
The global
and
order.
Joe Biden has made it very clear that he's really not going to do too much to handle them, and in the past has actually enabled them.
I'm very, very open to having discussions with literally everybody. I'm in Blexit, and down here in our Tennessee chapter, when we come across Black Lives Matter, we cross over the street and we talk to them. Friendly, peacefully, great conversation. We find a ton of middle ground. We add each other on freaking Facebook. But I feel like leftists today should just be open and honest and just call themselves Marxists, because there's pretty much no difference now these days when you look at Bernie Sanders, when you look at Black Lives Matter, and then let's add in a bunch of like illegal immigrants when we can't even take care of our own people. There's no logic.
If you asked her who is Karl Marx, she would definitely say a Marxist.
Logic to it. I'm open to talking and adopting things like who you decide to marry and all that kind of stuff. I'm open to that. Give people equal opportunity to succeed. But if you want to look at the LGBTQ stuff, I'm for you as an adult talking to another adult and consenting to do whatever you do. But I'm not for is shoving it down children's throats. I'm a mom of 3. I don't play that. No. What do you need to talk about to my kids about your dingling stuff and what you decide to identify? We don't care. If they want to play with their toys.
Yeah, I actually, I work for the gay Republican group. So I am their political director in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And as far as gay issues go, I think that people looking to pass gay marriage or like repeal gay marriage, I think that's big government. I think the government shouldn't decide what is defined as marriage at all. Donald Trump has stood for the gays and gay marriage.
Donald Trump has stood for the gays. That's why he should put on all of his campaign slogans. But he'd probably lose votes if he did that, wouldn't he?
For a lot longer than Joe Biden has. Joe Biden entered the 2012 presidential campaign still opposing gay marriage. And so if we're going to talk about that issue, then I feel like public opinion has come around on that.
I said I strongly agree because the high school I graduated from, I was able to graduate with a kid who I believe he worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign at some point, and I've been able to talk to them frequently since we've graduated. We've had a lot of discussions. We have to understand there's not liberal problems and conservative problems. There's American problems that we all have. We just have we all have the same end goal. We just have 2 different ways to get there. We all want America to be better. At least I hope we do. I try to say, what if I'm wrong and what if they're right, so I can truly see what they think.
America is better now than it was 4 years ago. Rachel?
Strongly agree.
Casey?
I strongly agree.
Objectively,
I
it's
strongly
not.
agree.
By any standard.
Ami?
Somewhat agree.
Alicia?
I said strongly agree.
Malik?
Strongly agree.
Yeah, so I somewhat agree, and that kind of actually sucks to say because I wish it was strongly agree. But when in terms of race relations, I feel like we've taken so many steps backwards. I never thought that as a millennial and somebody in 2020 that I would go outside my door and there would be like tension, friends disowning each other, family disowning each other. I know I've experienced that. I think we have come a long way, but when it comes to racial matters and stuff, unfortunately, I think we've taken some steps back.
I believe all problems are downstream of economics. And I think when Trump says we're going to do opportunity zones, we're going to invest billions and billions of dollars into low income areas. Like in Detroit, the gentrification that happened, which I'm a big supporter of, it gave specific family members in my family jobs that paid like 4 times what they were making before.
Yeah, so this video is titled, Do All Trump Voters Think the Same?
And that's because a billionaire now owns like 1/3 of downtown Detroit. Like people complain about it, but before, I bet 1/3 of these buildings were abandoned. That's done more for the Black community than any president I've known in my lifetime.
I feel the tension that Ami feels, but I do feel like President Trump's the leader to lead us out of that because I see the Democrat Party. They see the pain, they use it. People who are hurting, make them hurt a little bit more, and become victims to whatever hurt they have, whether it's racial or otherwise. And I don't appreciate that, and I don't think that that's the answer. I think President Trump's optimism is the answer to
Optimism.
I really do.
I do think that the economy is the biggest thing and probably the only thing that President Trump can do for us when it comes to racial relations. I don't personally think that Trump is the answer to race relations because it's a bigger discussion. It's beyond Trump. The best thing that President Trump can do for Black America and people of color is to just give them the opportunity to thrive. And I think he's done that, a great job at that, especially, before the China virus took place and everything. But when it comes to race relations, the media has such a massive part to play. And I think a first step that we could do as society is hold our mainstream media accountable. If we didn't have to dig to see that Trump has denounced white supremacy multiple times and the mainstream was doing their jobs and not adding fuel to the fire, I think maybe as a society we could all come together and hold the media accountable for the attention that they have caused when it comes to race relations. I don't think it has anything to do with Trump.
America's always had, political polarization. We've always had racial issues, but at least we have these problems and we have a robust economy. In January and February and March, once Donald Trump gives his second inaugural address, we'll see the economy bounce right back.
He's not the president in order to gain power. When COVID happened, he did not use the opportunity to usurp more power than he already had. It really concerns me when politicians like Joe Biden say he's going to make the entire country follow a mandatory mask mandate. That's completely unacceptable. It's an overreach of power.
I think a lot.
Joe Biden is not going to do that. He said he's going to ask local officials and state officials to do that locally. He's not going to do a nationwide crackdown on, wearing masks.
Of why America's so strong is because we have such a strong leader like President Trump, and he genuinely cares about America. He loves America so much, and he also loves the American people. So I think it's super nice to just see that a president who is enthusiastic to work for this beautiful country that I love and the American people, which is you and me. So
on that note, you guys, that is a wrap.
Hey, great job, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.
Do all Trump supporters think the same? The answer is yes. I think we all agree on that. So let's see. Do all Biden voters think the same as well?